Value is the principal goal of any appraisal. But that being said, there's a bunch of different types of value. For example, one type of value is something called subjective value. And subjective value, the way I remember this is because look at the S in subjective and the S in the word seller. The value in the eyes of the seller is known as subjective value. And the seller has their own hallucination of what they believe the property is worth. Not based on any data, like your opinion is hopefully based on empirical data, but the seller's position might be rooted in what I call sweat equity, or they remember their back, how much it hurt after they planted that garden, or they remember how the fight that the husband and wife got into when they were repainting the inside of the home. I mean, all of these things combine to increase the value of the property in the eyes of the seller. That's called subjective value. That's value in the eyes of the owner. Now, that's not the job of a professional appraiser. A job of a professional appraiser is not to confirm what the seller believes the value is. The job of the appraiser is to determine market value. That's the job of the appraiser, to determine market value. Now, the next thing we have to do is define market value. Market value is defined as the most probable price a property will bring in an arm's length transaction in an open market sale. So again, market value is the most probable price a property will bring in an arm's length transaction in an open market sale. Now first let's define arm's length, right? An arm's length transaction. What does that mean? Well, arm's length means that there is a distance, there's some distance between the buyer and the seller. They don't know each other. For example, let's say that I was going to sell my house to my mom. And let's say my house is worth $400,000. Now, how much am I going to charge my mom? Well, if I charge her $400,000, I'm probably going to go to hell. So I'm not going to want to charge her full price. I might cut my mom a break, right? I might give it to my mom if I was in a position to do so, but I would probably not charge my mom, my friend, a relative. I wouldn't charge any of these people that I know very well full price because that's just not the way the world works most of the time. Now, what about this open market business? What is an open market sale? Well, an open market sale is a sale in which the property has been exposed to the entire market. Like watch, let's say that you and I cut a deal on my house where you're going to buy my house, but we make the deal in my office. The property was never exposed in the multiple listing service. There was never a for sale sign. There was never any advertising. There was never any open houses. It's just you and I agree on a price in my office. Now, the price that you and I agree on, that may or may not be reflective of the true market value. It might not, because who knows? We might have been able to get more than that, or the market might have rejected that price and I might have had to reduce it if the property was exposed to the open market. Now, there's one more piece to this definition that I have to give you, one more piece, and it's called a willing buyer, willing seller concept. In order for market value to come about, the buyer and the seller must be willing. Now, I want to make a distinction here between willing and desperate. Let's say that you're selling your property and you're going through a divorce, an illness, a job loss, foreclosure, whatever it is, right? You're going through something that absolutely is, you have to sell your property. Are you really going to hold out for top dollar? You might not hold out for top dollar. You might just want to sell it for whatever you can get for it just to get out from under it. So a willing seller is different than a desperate seller. A willing seller is a seller who is not acting under duress or any outside influence. So that's a willing seller. You also have to have a willing buyer. A willing buyer might be somebody who doesn't necessarily need to buy. A willing buyer is somebody who doesn't necessarily need to buy. Now watch, here's something, you might ask yourself, well, why would somebody absolutely need to buy? Well, one reason that somebody might need to buy, let's say they're coming out of a 1031 tax-deferred exchange, right? They're coming out of a 1031 exchange, and they absolutely must buy something, or they're going to pay, $85,000 in capital gains taxes. They might not negotiate as hard for the best possible deal because they just have to buy something in order to avoid paying income tax. So again, you need to have a willing buyer and a willing seller. That's important. Neither party is acting under duress. Neither party is under the gun. It's just somebody who is willing to buy and somebody who's willing to sell. The price they agree on in an open market arm's length transaction is the best indication of market value.